All right, and we're back. This episode is on Liber Officiorum Spiritum, or the Book of the Office of Spirits. This was a demonological grimoire and a major source for Joanne Wyer's Pseudo Monarchia Daemonum and the Ars Goetia. The original work, if it is a single work, has not been located, but some derived texts bearing the title have been found, some in the Sloan manuscripts, some in the Folger Shakespeare Library. Each version bears many similarities to each other and to the Pseudo Monarchia Daemonum and the Ars Goetia, though they are far from identical. The history. Joannes Tri- Trithemius mentions two separate works, Liber Coque Officiorum and De Officiis Spirituum, indicating that the text may have branched off by his time. Wire, in his Pseudo Monarchia Daemonum, lists his source as Liber Officiorum Spirituum. Thomas Rudd titles his copy of the Ars Goetia as Liber Malorum Spirituum. The most detailed version is a direct but poor translation from English to Latin. This version was either copied or translated by Englishman John Porter in 1583. This version was owned by artist Richard Cosway. Upon his death in the 1820s, it passed hands to a bookshop owned by John Denley, bought by an occultist named George W. Graham on behalf of a magical organization known as the Society of the Mercury. In the hands of the Mercury or Mercurii, it came into the possession of Robert Cross Smith in 1822, who had John Palmer copy it. With Smith's death in 1832, the copy was passed on to Frederick Hockley. At some later date, Hockley acquired the first half of Porter's original manuscript and attempted to compile both Porter's and Palmer's versions into a single version. Sloan, the Sloan manuscript 3824 from the mid 17th century features a number of elements from the Book of the Office of Spirits and is an early form of the Lemegeton. The manuscript 3853 is titled The Office of Spirits, starts off nearly identical to more complete Porter version. Hockley's version and some portions of the other known versions were published in 2011 by Titan Press as a book of the Office of Spirits. The manuscript Hockley copied from was translated and edited by Daniel Harms and Joseph Peterson in 2015 as the Book of Oberon. The contents. The manuscript in the Folger Shakespeare Library is preceded by sundry materials lifted from Arbatel de Magia Veterum, amazingly only 2 years after its publication. The in the Enchiridion of Pope Leo III and Sefer Raziel Hamalak, and followed with a version of the Key of Solomon. The section Officium de Spiritibus begins describing the three devils, Lucifer, Baal, and Satan. LBS. That's what I keep. LBS. And the four kings of the air, Laraj over the east, Paimon the west, Aim or I am the north, and Boon the south, and the means of calling them. It then lists an additional 75 demons for a total of 82. Many of the demons are comparable to those in the Lesser Key of Solomon. The The next to last entry, Oberion, shifts the focus from demons to fairies. After the 81 demons, the book details Mycob, wife of Oberion, and their 7 daughters. It then repeats the 4 kings of the air, listing 12 demons under each of them. After this, it begins describing the spirits of the days of the week and the incenses and conjurations needed to summon them, lifting material from the sworn book of Anarius and Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. It follows with a list of Greek and Roman gods, a note about which spirits rule hell, and an entry to summon spirits that make books and write books, before giving instructions on how to summon the angel over each day of the week, including instructions for magic circles, consecrations, use of holy water, and exorcisms of fire. This portion uses elements of scripture: Sarum Missal, the Key of Solomon, Arbatel, Honorius, Agrippa, Raziel, and what would become the Tridentine Mass. It also shares some prayers found in the Munich Manual of Demonic Magic. After this is a section on necromancy, involving magic circles and calling upon the aforementioned 4 kings, names of God, and different saints to constrain a called spirit. The instructions on necromancy are followed by a means of finding hidden treasure that is similar to the method used by Edward Kelly, with spells to bind the spirit guarding the treasure. Following this is yet another means of summoning King Larage, and then similar instructions to summon a spirit named Baron or Baron, and a spell named An Experiment of Rome, and spells to find lost items, steal items, and see spirits. In parentheses, it says involving the invocation of King Arthur and enchanting hazel rods. These spells are interrupted by a short treatise on the role of angels, demons, and magic in the Odyssey, before continuing with more spells to see spirits, a collection of talismans, and a selection of names of God, planetary seals and spirits, geomantic figures, fumigations, and notes on the lunar mansions openly taken from Agrippa. Following this are more instructions on ritual magic and more spells to acquire unspecified desired items and identify thieves. The additional spirits in this section include Bilgal, Anabath, Ascariel, Satan, Baron, Romulon, Mosicus, and Orobus. The instructions on summoning spirits continue with Oberion and his followers Storax, Carmelion, Severian, Cadarian, Eozol, Restun, Ramaloth, Zeseres, Castriel, Saziel, and Idiel. Hockley's manuscript starts with an initial list of 80 demons with several duplicates, takes a small break to detail several fairies, and then lists 4 groups of 12 demons, most repeating spirits from the first 80 with various discrepancies. Sloan, 3853, merely lists 10 demons who also appear in Hockley's manuscript and then names the demon kings of the north, south, east, and west, Liraj, Aim, Boon, and Payman, respectively. Generic spirits under them, and nondescript spirits to obtain love or treasure. Cerberus Naberius appears with two other individual but sparsely detailed spirits, sparsely. The first two over rhetoric and love, respectively, the last having no noted duties. Sloan 3824 lists different unsorted magical procedures, dropping names of spirits from the Book of Spirits in passing, rarely with exclamation. So, demons shared by this and other grimoires: Agaros, Alagar or Algor, Maimon, Ammon, Asmodee, Astaroth, Baal, Barbarous, Barbates, or Barbarous. Separate duplicate entries within the first 80 demons, later Barbet. Beelzebub, Belial, Berith, Bilet, or Bilith, Kalios, Cerberus, Kulor, also Doulas, duplicate entry. Then there's Corson or Fairson. We have Darbaz or Carbaz, later Barbas or Corbus. Egan, Egin, or Egine. Forecase, also Partus. Gimin or Jimyim. Glulas or Glolas. Gurax, Hanar, Lucifer, Malapar or Malapaz. Then there's Oriens or Oriens, Oz, Payman, Rial, Satan, Sagane or Lagane, then Semper, and lastly Usagu or Visagu or Visago. Fairies. Oberion or Obergon, an assistant spirit named Bilgal, Mycob, or Myob, and their seven daughters are listed as fairies. Oberion is listed as a king who teaches physics, mineral and plant lore, as well as making men invisible, revealing hidden treasures and how to acquire them, and revealing past, present, and future events. Bilgal appears as a fire breathing, human headed ox, though his duties are not detailed. Mayab is described as a crowned, green clad queen. Like her husband, she makes people invisible and reveals secrets about rocks, metals, and plants, in addition to medicine and the truth. The daughters, like their parents, teach physics and herbal knowledge and give out rings of invisibility. Oberon and Mycob, a corruption of the already corrupt Myob, also appear in several 16th and 17th century manuscripts, such as the 1580 Folger manuscript, uh, 25, and a 1649 portion of Sloan manuscript 3824, reflecting a popular trend in English occultism at the time. So Agares, also Agarat, Agaros, or Agarus, is a demon described in demonological grimoires. He is described in grimoires such as the Livre des Esprits, the Pseudo Monarchia Daemonum, the Lesser Key of Solomon, and the Dictionnaire Infernal as a duke under the power of the East, an old man riding upon a crocodile and carrying a hawk on his fist, who teaches languages, stops and retrieves runaway persons, causes earthquakes, and grants noble titles. Legions and standing. Lemegeton clavicula Salomonis and the Pseudo Monarchia Daemonum both list him as the second spirit, and state that he commands 31 legions of demons, while the Libre des Esprits, which describes him simply as an old man, gives him 36. The Book of the Office of Spirits places him as Agaros, second under Oriens, and describes him as an old man riding a cockatrice without the hawk. The grimoire of Pope Honorius, which refers to him as Agares, is more brief, omitting the crocodile and hawk, and omitting his functions beyond languages and titles. The Grand Grimoire features him as a subordinate of Lucifuge Rofocale. According to Thomas Rudd, he is opposed by the Shem Hamparash angel Jeliel. Sloan manuscript 3824 mentions him throughout in invocations to summon spirits that guard treasure, and in the experiment of Agares meant to draw him into a crystal. Alloces, Alloces, is a demon that appears in demonological grimoires such as Liber, Officiorum, Spirituum, Monarchia Daemonum, and the Lesser Key of Solomon. He is described in the Lesser Key of Solomon as the 52nd spirit. And as Alicer or Allocer in the Monarchia Daemonum as the 63rd spirit, as a duke taking the form of a fire-breathing, lion-headed soldier riding a horse. His purported duties include teaching astronomy and liberal sciences and granting familiars. He is claimed to have 36 legions of demons under his command. In the Liber Officiorum Spiritum, Alloces appears as Allogore or Al Gore, again a duke, but otherwise with a completely different appearance and abilities. A spear-toting knight who answers questions, provides advice for plans, and commands only 30 legions of demons. In duplicate entry, Alloces appears as Al Gore, ruled by the spirit Oriens or Orions, again as a knight who explains secrets, but with the additional power of garnering the favor of nobles. According to Rudd, Alicer is opposed by the Shem Hamfaraj angel Ima Maya. And Maimon. In demonology, a Maimon, also Amamon, Amoimon, is a prince of hell, and according to some grimoires, the only one who has power over Asmodai. A curious characteristic of this spirit is alleged in almost all copies of the Ars Goetia in English, that during the evocation of Asmodai to visible appearance, the exorcist must stand upright with his cap or headdress removed in a show of respect, because he does not do so, then Amamon will deceive him and doom all of his work. They'll be his wife today. Sun out. Sun out. It's fine. Y'all hear it? The sun out and it's fine. They'll be his wife today. His wife today. Like, yeah, I see that. They'll got a wife. Hey, don't give us all. They'll got a wife. So. All right, it's raining, and the hubby is loud, so I'm gonna pause it here. We'll pick it back up on the next video. Just gonna go ahead and do a description of the demons of the Book of Spirits, and then we'll just take it from there. So again, you can go back and watch the previous videos on hell and the underworld and the lake of fire to see where I'm getting at with these videos that I'm currently doing. I'm gonna take it one video at a time. Don't overexert myself because I get lost in my mind sometimes. So try to stay with me. Again, thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and donate to the channel. The script is the links and everything is in the description of going across the screen. Blah blah blah. Again, love you guys to the moon and back. See you next time. Peace.